Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron channel. I'm Steve Shaw. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, do you need to add or subtract training volume? Before I get into this topic, if you guys need coaching, check out the link down below. Coaching is what I do for a living. I would love to help. So the question is, should I add training volume? Should I subtract training volume? The thought of subtracting training volume might seem a little bit ridiculous. Like, why would I do less volume? But it's kind of a fad in, some of the internet training circles, some of the Instagram and YouTube circles where we do more minimalism, do fewer sets because there's this kind of notion that somehow the body is super fragile if you're a natural trainee. On the other hand, you have the never-ending belief or the never-ending thought that if I just add more volume onto whatever lift or whatever body part, it's going to magically explode. I'm going to see my bench press go up. I'm going to see my muscle gains go up, etc. So you have two ends of a spectrum. One thought is the body is super fragile as a natural. If I just reduce my volume, I'm going to find some sort of a sweet spot for muscular growth because naturals are just that fragile, right? That's the thought. Or if I just increase my volume on the bench press or my arms, I'm going to build more muscle. You see this over and over again on lifting groups and social media. I want to build bigger arms, so I'm going to add in more volume. I'm going to attack it harder. The belief somehow is that volume is the harder key, so to speak. The problem with moving to either side of the spectrum is that it doesn't address the core issue or the core problem. If you're not making progress right now, if your arms aren't growing right now, if your bench press isn't moving up right now, if your quad size isn't growing right now, it's not related to volume. That is the core issue. It's not related to volume at all. You could apply this type of thinking basically to anything. Hey, I'm not gaining right now. I'm going to move to a different program. I'm going to move to a different type of exercise selection. Maybe I'm going to get away from squats and do more of this, or maybe I'm going to get away from machines and do more squats. Whatever the case is, maybe I'm going to go to frequency, maybe I'm going to go to body part split. There's always this belief that if you're not growing, moving to something else is going to magically unlock the formula that's going to cause you to grow. Again, the problem with this is that it doesn't address the core issue. If you're not growing on your current volume and it's reasonable, and what I mean by reasonable is that you're not chasing high or low volume. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you probably have a reasonable amount of weekly volume. The problem isn't your volume. The problem is unlikely to be your exercise selection because you're probably using at least several quality exercises for each muscle group each week. The problem really isn't your frequency or your training split. You probably have a very reasonable program. The problem is generally going to fall into three different areas. The first area is you're not training hard enough. You don't go into the gym to try to beat the logbook. You don't go into the gym to try to get as much out of every set as you can. This can seem like a very confusing thing for many, many lifters. What is hard training? When you go into the gym, you want to get as much as you can out of every set. You're not worried about how many sets you're doing. You're worried about maximizing the next set. Along those lines, if you're maximizing the next set, the fruit of this hard training is going to be progressive overload. You're going to naturally get stronger over time. One could say if you're not naturally getting stronger over time, you're not training hard. Now, we always have to put the caveat on this that we're not after simply gaining strength for the sake of strength. We want to gain strength in the lane of hard training. So I don't want you to rush out and just randomly start throwing weight around the gym, trying to get reckless plus ones. You want to go into the gym and you want to try to get everything out of a set as you can. In my original book, Massive Iron, I talk about maximizing the next set. If you focus on maximizing each and every set of a workout, you're going to maximize that workout and you're going to maximize the muscle building process. This includes on things like seated cable rows and lat pull downs, not just trying to chase reps, but controlling the weight down, getting a slight stretch of your back, driving your elbows back. Just little things like that can add up and make a set really, really focused. So back to the point, if you're not getting stronger over time, you're definitely not training hard enough. Again, set the notion out of your head that you're just chasing some arbitrary strength standards. Strength standards do come. Strength does come from proper training. And you're going to need 5 to 7 to 10 years of proper training to pack on that maximal amount of mass. There's no shortcut around that. And if you do this, if you train hard for this period of time, you're going to end up down the road incredibly strong. So the two foundational pillars are that you have to have hard training, and there has to be some kind of fruit like progressive overload that shows you were training hard. The final pillar that comes into place is one that can be difficult for a lot of lifters. You need to nail your lean bulking. There are a lot of people that I work with, a lot of people that I see come my way that train very hard. And when I say when they come to me, they're training very hard when they come to me, but they can't unlock that puzzle. Why aren't they building mass? They're training very hard, but their diet isn't nailed down. You can be eating relatively healthy, right? High protein, you can be eating reasonable food choices, but if you don't have a dialed in lean bulk, your diet is actually working against you. Now you have this whole segment of the lifting industry that has tethered itself to the scale, and it wants to remain arbitrarily to some number on the scale and never do any reasonable lean bulking, or they fear that all lean bulks have this kind of mental tick that bulking is always fat bulking, and that's not the case at all. In the massive iron world, I do what is called a 10-pound bulk. We basically do a 10-pound bulk over about 4 to 5 months. Generally, you want to gain about 1 kilo a month. You're going to gain about 10 pounds, and after that, you're going to do a quick mini cut. And this is kind of your entrance into bulking. We're going to do a very controlled lean bulk. You're only going to gain a couple pounds of fat during the process. You're going to knock it out to a quick mini cut, etc. So this is a good introduction into bulking. But that aside, if you don't have focused bulking and you're training hard in the gym, you're just working against yourself. I see it over and over again that guys will come to me and they'll be training hard and they're not really getting anything out of their training. You can't have one without the other. This whole thing, like is diet 90%, it's such a silly concept because you need training to be 100% and you need your lean bulking to be 100% as well. And that is the magic formula that is going to unlock gains. You do not need to go to higher volume. You do not need to go to lower volume. You do not need to switch frequencies. You do not need an extremely crazy new program. You do not need a radical new exercise selection or a radical new rep range. What you need is to put both of these pieces into place. Now, just a final thought. I'm not against trying new programs. I'm not against trying new exercises. Obviously not. That's nothing that I teach. I teach reasonable training. If you want to evolve your training based on needs and try new exercises or try new programs beginning in a new phase of lifting, that's perfectly okay. But don't believe for a second it's going to replace hard training, progressive overload, and quality lean bulking. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.